Women are reminding men not to fall in love.
Say, he's not yours. It's just your turn. Just as easily as somebody can turn to you, especially in the manosphere space online, and say, she's not yours. It's just your turn.
Women are reminding men not to fall in love. So today's video comes from Manosphere Highlights Daily. His channel will be linked in the description so you can go and check it out. And women are basically reminding men the reasons why we have to understand that she was never yours. It was just your turn. Watch the end of the video to fully understand the implications of how women are changing the dynamics between men, women, dating, society. And now let's go ahead and jump right into the video.
But what does this mean, this phrase? She's not yours, it's just your turn.
Welcome to Manosphere Highlights Daily. Today, we're doing a reaction video to a video by a female tarot reader titled, "She's Not Yours, It's Just Your Turn." This is a phrase you've probably heard many times in this space. But before we dive into her content, let's take a quick look at how she positions herself in her channel description and what that tells us. First off, she clearly states that she's a coach offering advice based on her own experience and that of her clients. She's upfront about not being a doctor, therapist, or licensed professional. So she's making it clear that her advice is more personal and experiential rather than professional or clinical. That's a good boundary to set because it lets her viewers know where she's coming from. She's here to guide and share insights, not diagnose or prescribe.
Hey, how you guys doing? My name is Amanda, as in who's that? Oh man, duh. And I'm here to hopefully make it as your future wingman, duh. I got a bachelor's degree in the fine arts and a master's in the art of pickup. And I'm here to turn you fine ASS simps into forever freaking pimps. Let's go, but not through the power of pickup, rather through the power of healing, because I am no longer pickup pilled, red pilled, or black pilled. I am just healing pilled.
So yeah, guys, you have these women who are still advertising to the manosphere and still trying to drag the simps, because I told you, there's a lot of simps in the manosphere. The simps is rife. The manosphere is rife with simps because they have nowhere else to go. They have nowhere else to go. And as the focus of men and the attention of men continues to deviate to the manosphere, more and more women are only going to be rushing to the space to attract men and acquire resources. A lot of you guys don't seem to understand that in the coming years, more and more women are going to be setting up shop in the manosphere, and they're doing it in very backwards ways. For example, you have a lot of OnlyFools and LowlyFans models that are basically making red pill content talking about how poorly men are being treated in society. These women are basically just trolling us at this point, and they're using these videos to convince simps to then go over to their OnlyFools page and give them money. And then they'll bust it wide open for $3.99 a month. And of course, you have to understand that simps are not very intelligent. It doesn't matter how educated they are. It doesn't matter if you have a master's degree in electrical engineering. You could be a fucking idiot regardless when it comes to common sense and critical thinking. Simps are very just in tune with their carnal senses. In other words, they really only care about if their balls are empty and their belly is full. So you have to be very careful with the simp. No amount of education can really get the simping out of a simp, because this is who they are and this is simply how they survive. So these women are setting up shop and they're just dragging the simps into their deviant spaces and extracting wealth and resources from the way that a 304 would. And the simps, of course, don't care because that's exactly what they want.
In today's video, I'm actually going to be talking about how I'm not here just to make it as your wingman, but how I'm here to also make it as your coach.
But here's the interesting part. Nowhere in the description does she mention tarot, despite using tarot cards in her videos. And that's something I want to address. It could be that she's trying to appeal to a wider audience or doesn't want to be boxed into the tarot reader label. She might see tarot as just one of many tools she uses to provide insight. Either way, it's important to note that tarot is a key part of how she presents her advice, even if it's not front and center in the channel description. So today, we'll not only react to the message she's sharing, but also keep in mind the unique lens through which she's delivering it. using tarot as part of her process, even if that's not explicitly spelled out in her branding. With that said, let's get into it. Now it's time for us to get into this and do what we gotta do. Because we manning, we manning, we.
But what does this mean, this phrase? She's not yours, it's just your turn. There's something about that plays into our fears so well within the mind. Fear card coming through. There's something about that the mind just wants to cling to it for that sense of safety, for that sense of confidence. I don't have to get hurt, right? If I don't try at all. I don't have to ever fail if I don't even try.
She doesn't even know what the fuck she's talking about, bro. This is a witch. Y'all, this is a witch. This is a witch. Listen to me. This is soft witchcraft. This is a witch. This is a witch. I guarantee you she's reading books about hooking up with demons and busting it right wide open for the Prince of Darkness. This is a witch. This is a witch. You could all right, y'all. This is guys. Simps are disgusting. Simps are disgusting. They would go and get caught up with a witch. All right, and she doesn't even know what the fuck she's talking about. It doesn't really matter because you can see she's just like making it up as she goes along. This is a fucking witch. Holy motherfuck! The witches have finally invaded the manosphere. Oh shit! Oh shit! The witches are here. All right. You know, the only fools, lonely fans models, you know, they crept on in without anyone noticing, and now the witches are here to get their cut, to get their shit. Holy fuck. The sisterhood is really having some hard times out there in the streets right now, I tell y'all.
I don't have to stay with somebody. I don't have to find love if she can never be fully mine. If she can never be fully my turn for life, well, she's not mine. It's just my turn anyways. So what's the point? What's the point of going out there and creating a space of loving connection with somebody? What's the freaking point? Especially if it's only temporary with that implication there. There's something safe to not trying at all, right?
So far, what she's saying is correct, but I don't understand the added value of the tarot cards. She pulled 4 cards: fear, confidence, love, and creation. You don't need tarot cards to figure out that these elements play a major role in men's strength.
This bro doesn't understand. This is witchcraft. This is witchcraft. I know a witch when I see a witch. I can't say she's even very good at her work, but this is a witch. This is a witch, all right? Bro, she's trying to work her magic right now. Okay, and I'm not talking about like in a myth. I'm not talking about like in a backward sense or you know, just saying, oh, you know, no. She's trying to work a spell right now. This girl's casting spells. This girl is casting spells. All right, I guarantee you, bird and sage, and then mixing things up and all kinds of crap. This girl is casting spells. This is a witch. This is witchcraft. All right, I'm talking about Salem, Massachusetts type of witch. Okay, this is a witch. Witch. Like, you know, you ever heard like there's a manga out called Burn the Witch? They're talking about her.
To women. So is it confirmation? Are the tarot cards to corroborate what we already know to make men feel better? Is that the added value? The therapeutic aspect of a woman telling men what they want to hear? We're gonna let her talk for 2 minutes. Fellas, buckle up.
But there's something more nuanced going on. And on this channel, that's mainly what I'm going to be doing, is opening your mind to the nuance, because it's not as simple as you don't try, so you don't have to fail. But when you're doing this healing work, then you have to sort of reprimand yourself and feel guilty about never trying. You don't have to feel guilty about never trying. It's not your fault that you lose your strength card coming through, within social situations, within bonding with people. That's not your fault. We live in a very disconnected society. You know, we live in a capitalistic society. I've self-isolated so much throughout my life.
Boy, she's trying to put a spell on you. She's trying to put a spell on you. Well, she's trying to like showing you the various cards and calling out certain keywords. Okay, she's trying to put a spell on you. Don't fall for it. All right, it only works if you believe it. This is the devil right here. This is the Jezebel right here. I cast thee away in the name of Jesus, the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. I cast thee away. I cast thee demon away. This is a witch. This is a witch.
I spent a lot of time placing my value and my sense of reality trying to look like somebody different than myself, trying to be somebody that I'm not, all because I was ashamed. So, you know, if I'm trying to heal and I have to come to terms with the ways in which I socially isolated and never put myself out there.
Notice how she's like showing you cards even when she's not even talking about said cards. All right, don't think that this is just some silly girl, y'all. No. This is witchcraft, guys. I've come in contact with witchcraft. You know, I've had some up and downs with these types of people. All right, some real witchcraft at that. I'm talking about like, you know, that evil African stuff. Like, I'm telling you, like, I've come in contact with some real witchcraft. Okay, so listen to me. I know witchcraft when I tell you about witchcraft. This girl right here, she's working witchcraft. This is witchcraft, okay? And she's not even very good at it, but she's trying to cover it up. She can't cover it up, sweetie. You're a witch. We all know you're a witch, okay? All right, and you're not even good as Samantha from Bewitched. All right, that was a G right there. Okay, you're bad at it, but you're still here trying to work it.
Tried to date. If I'm trying to heal and I have to look back at myself and reprimand myself and say, hey, you isolating yourself in your room because of your body insecurities, that's your fault. There's no good reason that you're self-isolating right now. It's just because you don't love yourself enough. Is that what I'm trying to say? Or is there something more nuanced to what is going on? Is there something about your pain that's being protected?
This woman is working that craft hard, boy. She's working that craft hard. She needs money. She needs money. She needs to rebuild. This girl is in need right now. This girl is in need. Oh my God, this girl is in need. I'm telling you guys, this is a wicked world that we live in, okay? You are so fortunate that you have Uncle Angry to tell you about the wickedness of this world and the wicked people of this world. This girl is working that rich craft. She needs some money bad. She needs a man bad, but she doesn't actually want the man. She wants his utility and then to discard of him once she's done with him. What an evil individual.
Things like, she's not yours, it's just your turn.
So she clearly gives it a spiritual twist. Once again, pulling multiple cards, but the nuanced aspect of she's not yours, it's just your turn isn't spiritual. It's environmental, it's societal, and it's cultural. If you go back in time to the 1940s and 50s, it's a completely different society than 2024. We recently did a video about a 34-year-old woman with 3 kids and 3 different baby daddies, still feeling she deserves a high-value man, and saying it with conviction.
Yeah, I checked. Yeah, these guys really checked her. They really checked her on that. They let her know that, you know, they don't want that. But there was a simp in there, and of course the simp is always like, you know, he loves to date single mothers, and the woman the single mother who was sitting right there and got checked, she made like the most disgusted looking face because, you know, they've used these simps to, you know, gain power. Again, simps are just agents of the state. So, you know, women are trolling us at this point. They know that no man in their right mind will want to date a single mom. They know that no man in their right mind wants to raise another man's kids. The reality is that these men are forced to go down this road because Chad and Tyrone got there first. These disgusting low-value individuals, they clapped the cheeks. They got these women pregnant. This woman had 3 different kids by three different men. So she had a baby for Chad. She had a baby for Tyrone. She had a baby for Poncho. Pancho or Sancho, because you really never know what Pancho or Sancho. It could be either. And it's like now she wants a man to step in and take care of that child and assume responsibility for that child and become a provider and a protector. And now he'll be the head of the household. That's a whole load of bullshit. Whole load of bullshit. And that's what women are basically feeding us right now. A lot of crap telling us that, oh, this is what a real man does. No, you're her last choice. All right. You are the plan B guy. After she had fun, now she wants to come and get into a relationship with you. And the irony is that when she is with a plan B guy, she's still out there with Chad and Tyrone. She's still getting the cheeks clapped. Those are the men that she loves. Here's something very interesting. When you're in a relationship with a woman who does not want to be physically intimate with you, it is a very, very important indicator of a number of things. For example, if you're not overweight, if you're like, let's say, not a slob, and I'm just being realistic. If you're a guy who's in relatively good shape, you're decently good looking, and you're in a relationship with a woman who does not want to be with you, outside of her having some health issues or something, and even then, that's kind of stretching it. 99% of the time, she's being physically intimate with someone else. She's basically getting it somewhere else. Okay? Because women like physical intimacy, they love it more than men do. Okay, this is the reason why a woman can go and be physically intimate with 30 different guys, 20 to 30 guys in a single month and not even break a sweat. Many of you guys think that you're special, you think you're powerful, but let me tell you something. Being with a lot of women in a short period of time can drain a man. Okay? And some of you are a bunch of assholes. You're like, not me, Angry. I could do whatever. I could do it every single day. I don't give a fuck. And there's a lot of boomers who are out here right now trying to measure dicks and like figure out whose balls are bigger. Like, fuck that shit. Okay? The reality is, as men, you are no Superman. Some of you will learn your lessons. All right, especially when you have things going on in your life and you think that you're big and you're bad and you can basically be with all of these women. Sometimes some of you, when things are going on in some of your lives, this is something like you'll learn as men. Uncle Angry here is here to teach you. When things are going on in your lives, your dick will stop working. A lot of people don't ever tell you this. All right, you end up learning it the hard way. If you are going through, if you are really stressed out at work, or you're burnt out, or whatever, or you're feeling depressed or anxiety, or just a lot. Well, anxiety can actually trigger things, but if you're under like a lot of like stress, if you're under a lot of mental exhaustion, physical exhaustion, or just other things, your dick will stop working. Y'all don't even know about it. You think it's a game, and it'll happen to you. Not when you are. It will happen to you. Not even in just like your 30s or 40s. It will happen. It can happen to you even in your 20s. Even in your 20s. That's the thing. Like, you don't have older men, unfortunately, that teach you these things. But we are not like women. Women can just keep on going and going and going like the Energizer Bunny when it comes to physical intimacy. In fact, for them, when they're stressed out, when they're burnt out, when they're feeling miserable and stuff like that, that's when they can go the mile. All right? Because we are not biologically the same. You have to understand that men are givers, women are receivers. Men give, women take. So they are taking our essence away from us. All right? This is the reason why whenever a man is intimate, he immediately falls asleep while the woman is awake, still chilling. Why do you think, guys, it's so possible for a woman to just basically see women can work at a brothel and they can just see one guy after another. They can see 10 guys in the same day. They can see man after man after man back to back. A man physically cannot do that. All right? Even when you're dealing with male gigolos, what's his name? Deuce Bigelow, male gigolo. Even when you're dealing with gigolos, they can't see more than two, three women a day. All right? Because after they get that first nut off, that's the end of it right there. That's the end of it right there. A lot of them are faking it too. They'll go out there like, oh yeah, it just slipped out, bro. You know that you're struggling. All right, you're struggling, trying to go around with a floppy. Okay. A lot of these dudes can't really do anything either without having to pop a pill at some point. So you need to understand, like, men and women are not the same. Women operate very differently than men do. And women are able to basically able to just keep going and going and going like the Energizer Bunny indefinitely.
record. This says a lot about the times we're living in, because in the past, this was a complete disgrace. If you look at the way these mothers are presenting themselves, the title mother purely means female parent, not someone who commands respect. Is a good example for her children and an inspiration for her husband. If these women are getting applauded for their reckless behavior, the conclusion that these women are not yours and it's just your turn is easily drawn.
Is there something about the sacrifice of having to connect with somebody that is just not worth giving up? It's just not worth trying. It's just not worth moving forward. It's not worth taking that leap of faith. But hey, it's because there's something about that that's protecting you. It's not that we live in a world full of broken, bad people. It's that we live in a world full of people, and human beings are utterly flawed. And sometimes they are going to hurt you. But that does not mean that you deliberately hurt yourself.
Yeah, she's talking a load of crap while she's casting a spell.
Yourself. You didn't mean to do that. You were merely just protecting yourself. This language that we preach in the manosphere all day long. All women are like that.
In the manosphere, guys, I told you, guys, basically wherever men are, that's where the money goes, okay? Because women don't have any money. Women throw all of their money away into things like makeup, cosmetics, bags, and jewelry. A lot of things that don't even retain value. Men, on the other hand, wherever men go, money will follow, because men pay 80% of all taxes. Men are the ones who cultivate wealth. You know, most women have very little value, if anything. They have nothing of value. It's a sad reality where you come into this world and you leave this world with nothing behind. And I think about that very carefully. This is one of the reasons why they say it's better to die rich than it is to die poor. You know, when you die rich, when you leave this world rich, in many cases, you will not leave the world in a state of destitution. And when you leave the world in a state of destitution, it could be a horrific thing. For example, a lot of boomers are going to leave the world in a state of destitution. I don't think they're going to get that Hail Mary pass, and the government's going to bail them out with these big fat checks. Okay, because most of them cannot live off Social Security, and they have no pension. They have no pension, and they have less than $100,000. Those half of all boomers have no retirement savings, and from those that do, they have less than 30%. Only have less than $100,000. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. And most of them, and $100,000 isn't going to do it. The average boomer spends about $53,000 a year. So they're never going to be able to actually retire, many of them, and they're living in poverty. It's crazy that you have boomers who are like saying things like they don't want to go collect food stamps because they feel ashamed. See, that's the difference between men and women. We'll go out there and happily pull out our EBT card, and we feel like we're so damn proud to use that damn EBT card. Another interesting thing about the boomers is just how messed up they are. They don't even, because a lot of boomers, just to be clear, are lazy. And in a way, that's actually a compliment. It's not a compliment, but I'll explain why. If you go back to the late 90s, early 2000s, you have to remember that the youngest of the boomers were actually in their late 30s. Okay? So they weren't very old people at this point. What were the innovations back at that time? Okay? Because I'm in my 40s now, and many of us are. And we have to study each and every single day. We have to be very good with technology. We have to know the ins and outs of it. Like, for example, I have you jackasses bothering me in the comments, constantly. And one of you got real disrespectful. I got to find the comments so I can block that motherfucker. And it got under my skin. Oh, you want me to buy you a new mic? Here's the thing about microphones. It's not all about the mic, you jackass. There's things like condensers. There are preamps. There's all these different elements that go together to create good audio and sound quality. I'm not an audio engineer. I never wanted to be an audio engineer. But you guys got under my fucking skin. So finally, I just bought a ton of shit. Yeah, I just bought a brand new microphone. I have a studio condenser microphone, which is what a lot of people use to record podcasts. However, and it's a nice mic. I like the mic. But you guys, some of you jackass, and the audio quality is much better than it used to be. Okay, and then I'm also using software to ensure that using software that removes any background noise. Okay, so the audio sounds good. I also have a pop filter on there. But some of you jackasses aren't happy with that. So now I picked up a brand new, what is an XLR microphone, and I've picked up a preamp interface. So we're gonna basically use that to make the mic make things sound even nicer. Okay, and then if I need to, I can also use compressor software, or I can run an external compressor. And here's the thing about this: I learned all of that within about 24 hours, or a couple of hours. All right. And this is the thing. We have to be as people my age, we have to be very good with tech. We have to be able to learn how tech works instantly. So when you look at the baby boomers, many baby boomers, it's not that they are not good at tech, because there's some baby boomers who are actively on here talking shit. They have very good, they write very well, just like anyone else. But there's also a lot of baby boomers who are not very good with tech. And the reason why they're not very good with tech is because they haven't stayed up to date with technology. All right? They have not stayed up to date with technology. There's no reason to not be good with technology at 60 years old, especially when you're at the forefront of tech, for decades. So there's a lot of laziness. There's a lot of laziness in there. And when it comes to men, we're just basically going to have to keep on grinding and keep it going. Women, on the other hand, a lot of women just want to have easy lives. They want to have easy lives. They don't really want to have to work for anything. And that's going to be their shortcoming. That's going to be their fall right there. You have this woman basically trying to tell us, well, it's not that relationships are supposed to be forever. They come and go. She was never really yours, but why should she be? Okay, can you not just enjoy your time together? Can you not just be a provider and protector until she's ready to return to the streets?
Third, there's something about this that's deeply protecting us. That's deeply protecting you. Justice card coming through.
And this is where the laws come in. We just did a video about Tyrese having to go to jail because he refuses to pay a ridiculous amount of child support that his child doesn't need. It's clear as daylight that his ex-wife is using his child as a meal ticket, just as many women have done before. She's not the first one, and because of this pattern of men being abused in family court, men come to the conclusion that they have to protect themselves. Tyrese's ex-wife is rewarded for breaking the contract. There is no justice. There is no fairness. These judges are not asking for receipts to see what the ex-wife is actually doing with the money. $10K a month. A month! For a 4-year-old. Are you freaking kidding me? There's nothing spiritual about this. It's pure logic, rational thought. This society is forcing men to protect themselves and walk away because the juice ain't worth the squeeze.
You have to have a sense of compassion for yourself, for, in a sense, feeling like you betrayed yourself, because that's the hardest part to overcome. But if only you could see how much you were up against since you were a child, you could have that compassion and you could have that empathy, but it's hard. This isn't just as easy as love yourself, okay? It's not. It takes patience. It takes time to overcome these fears of self-sacrifice, to overcome these fears of vulnerability, and to connect with somebody in a society that's so disconnected from each other. That takes real freaking courage and consistency.
Y'all, look away from the screen. When she puts up the cards, look away from the screen. All right? She's working her black magic. Look away from the screen. Do not look at the screen. All right? This white woman is working her black magic. Do not look at the screen.
Distracted right now online. We don't know how to reintegrate ourselves in a world in which that's so hurt and so disconnected, because we're not the only ones.
All right, so here's where I agree with her. Healing is essential, but what's even more crucial is understanding that healing isn't one size fits all. Not every man is going through the same challenges, and not every situation requires the same kind of spiritual or emotional remedy. In fact, what a lot of men need today isn't abstract healing. It's practical solutions based on the specific obstacles they are facing. If your challenge is dealing with unfair legal systems like Tyrese's situation in family court, no amount of spiritual healing is going to fix that. You need to educate yourself on the law, set boundaries, and protect yourself. If your challenge is around dating, recognizing today's cultural landscape and making informed choices based on logic.
Guys, anyone else just checked out the iPhone 16? I know this is not related, but anyone else just like saw the iPhone 16? Like, it's just the same fucking phone, like the phone that came before it, like going all the way back to the iPhone 10. Yeah, no, I've got the iPhone 12 right now. You know, I use it for business. I almost never turn it on. It's kind of like, yeah, look, you can just kind of scroll around. It's something different. You know, it's just I just think about it like we're getting fucked so hard. Oh, look, $1,200 for the same shit you gave us last year. Yeah, I'm sure Steve would be proud.
Emotions is key. So yes, yield where healing is needed, but also make sure you're addressing the right problems with the right tools. Sometimes the best thing you can do for your mental health is to protect yourself from situations that don't serve you, to recognize the reality we're living in, and take rational steps to safeguard your well-being. Healing, in this sense, is not just about feeling better. It's about making better choices moving forward. So keep that in mind, fellas. Manosphere, we working. Protect yourself at all times. This video has officially been highlighted.
I mean, guys, it's crazy. It's crazy what women are doing in society right now. They think that they can keep on doing this forever, but they are very much the reason why men are beginning to also retreat from society and pull back.
Feeling really alone, and there was just a feeling of feeling broken, feeling not enough.
Oh my God, Jesus. Holy cow. Holy cow. Yeah. Oh my God. Jesus Christ. They got one of the brothers now. They got one of the brothers. They got, guys, this bullshit everywhere. Cry it all out. Cry it all out. We've seen these people before. Holy cow. They're spreading. They're spreading.
Feeling unworthy of love.
Stop!
Yeah.
Fellas, we've all heard it before. Men don't open up. We're told we need to man up, tough it out, and deal with our emotions privately. But what happens when that leads to loneliness, broken relationships, and feeling disconnected from the world around us? Today, we're looking at a retreat program in California that's tackling this head-on, called Every Man. But do these men's retreats really work? Or are they just a band-aid for a deeper issue? Let's dive in. Now it's time for us to get in.
These are simp camps. These are simp camps. It's about opening up and getting in touch with your feelings. We're gonna cry it out, and then when you return to society, society is gonna treat you differently. This is why so many dudes are becoming X-Men and joining the other side, because they're like, you know what, I'm gonna have a better life this way. All right, this is a whole load of bullshit, and I swear, like, they're gonna position this thing probably like, you know, I can't swear. I'd bet they're gonna position it as kind of like a thing as fighting against misogyny and teaching men positive masculinity. Oh God, the reality is just destroying men and tearing men down and making them weak. A bunch of weak men crying in the bush.
What we gotta do? Because we men ain't we? We men ain't we? So this men's retreat takes a group of guys from different walks of life, throws them into the desert, and encourages them to do something that society tells us not to. Be vulnerable, emotional, and open up to each other. These men share their deepest struggles, past traumas, and current challenges.
Listen to me. These are a bunch of weak ass men. There are obviously some Gen Xers in there, but Guys, these are the motherfuckers that get their asses beat back in the old days. Like, you would be out here in the streets doing this type of thing. Do not be out here doing this type of thing. They catch you so quick, bro. You gotta be fucking kidding me. I'm telling you, society is crazy in today's day and age. These jokers, these jokers are really something else. I'm telling y'all, turning men into a bunch of weeping willows. The world is so difficult. You should be teaching men how to be strong and and how to control their emotions and channel their emotions into positive things and to constructive things, not how to break down into a bunch of pussies, because this is not going to get them anywhere except into greater destitution and despair.
Here's my question for all the guys watching. Does this really work? Or are we missing something bigger?
Growing up, what I learned about what it means to be a man was really neglecting my emotions and feeling shame about crying or feeling shame about having emotions. I didn't really feel like I could talk to people about things I was going through. So in many ways, I did feel alone.
And you know what's amazing now? After he's done this, he's had his first experience where he was able to connect mentally and physically with another man and share something very spiritual. Because these camps, they're not just about the mental, they're also about the physical and exploring other ways of intimacy and emotional states of well-being. You know, that's just a lot of fluff for hooking up between two bros, but you guys know what I'm doing here.
Participant Kyle Somersall, a 32-year-old man from Brooklyn, shared that he had become numb to his loneliness. He wasn't given the space.
Bro is from Brooklyn? Bro is from Brooklyn doing this type of foolishness? Bro, you want the Italians to chase you out? What kind of absolute nonsense? Don't come back to the hood, bro. Don't come back to the hood. They may not catch you anywhere from Bensonhurst to Flatbush. Don't come back to the hood, bro. Don't come back to the hood.
Emotions growing up, which isn't uncommon for many men. We're taught that showing emotion, especially crying, is a sign of weakness. And that, right there, is part of the bigger problem we men face.
It was feeling neglected emotionally, just feeling really alone. And there was just a feeling of feeling broken, feeling...
Y'all, that's what a snitch looks like. I'm just putting it out there. Like, that's what a snitch looks like. You know, I know a snitch when I see a snitch, and that's what a snitch looks like. I'm just saying. That's what a snitch looks like.
Not enough. Feeling unworthy of love.
Stop!
Homeboy, that's mental illness. That's mental illness, brother. That's mental illness. All right, that's mental illness and maybe a bit of maybe demons. You don't need these men. You need maybe a priest and a little bit of holy water. All right, that's what you need. That's what you need, bro. That's what you need.
Yeah.
In these retreat programs, like every man, men are placed in emotional safe spaces, and the focus is on helping them reconnect with themselves and each other. There's a lot of talk about letting go, being seen, and allowing yourself to feel. But does this kind of emotional release lead to long-term change, or is it just a temporary fix?
These are hookup camps. These are hookup camps. I'm telling y'all, there's more happening here than meets the eye. All right? It's like we say robots in disguise. These men are something else in disguise, if you get what I'm saying.
Opening this up for discussion because we want to know what you think. Does this approach really help, or is it just another trend to capitalize on men's emotional struggles?
There's an emotional pandemic of men just giving up and being lonely. We get more and more referrals from therapists. Men are hungry for real friends, but they don't know where to go to get them, and they don't know how to get them.
Owen Marcus, one of the co-founders of Every Man, described loneliness in men as an emotional pandemic.
Let me explain this to you. The next stage of the manosphere will be learning how to be alone and finding that inner peace. If you cannot be alone, that means that you're having trouble with yourself. That means that you're dealing with a lot of internalized self-hatred. That means that you're dealing with a lot of insecurity. That means you're dealing with a lot of fear. A lot of that was placed in you by your parents, that was placed in you by society, that was placed in you by women, that was placed in you by Sims, that was placed in you by insecurity. And it comes down to learning how to deal with that and overcome it and feeling safe within yourself and your reality once again, knowing that even if you cannot control the things that happen to you, you can always control how you respond to it. All right. It's about regaining a sense of self and even a sense of control, because you cannot control the world around you, but you can control yourself. And by controlling yourself and how you respond to the world around you, you can at least shape and affect the things that are happening to you. And that's really the best you can do. But in many ways, that makes you realize that you do have some control over your life. You don't have entire control over what happens, but you can control how you respond. And the way that you respond can also the way that you respond can also affect the things that will then happen in the future. If you break down into a weeping willow and start panicking and cry and everything every time something bad happens, you'll never end up getting anywhere. For example, guys, I went through things. Like, guys, I was ill for a number of years. I had a bunch of things I had to deal with. I had, this is why I tell you guys, never run into issues with, let's say, like the IRS or anything like that. And you basically try to put these things off, and you'll realize they're there. They're there, and it only gets worse. And you basically have to just wake up one day and address your problems. You have to face things head on. Even if you don't feel ready, even if you're not well, you have to do the best you can. All right, because the world doesn't give a shit about men. Women have it easy. Women have it absolutely easy. Men don't. Although I'm telling you, there's a role reversal coming, because those who are born rich leave the world poor, and those who are born poor leave the world rich. And that's often the way it works. Is it a perfect analogy? No, but it more or less aligns with the way things usually go, because the people who get handouts for free, they eventually run out of other people's money. The people who learn how to fish and provide for themselves, they eventually end up with surplus, because it becomes easy to them, or at least normal for them to provide for themselves, and they know where to look. These types of people who are there breaking down, these are people who are struggling with their own insecurities and their own issues as a man. We're going to deal with our loneliness. To deal with your loneliness, you have to learn to deal with your loneliness. You often have to learn how to be alone. You have to be able to go out by yourself, sit alone, and address your issues. Now, it can be hard to know how to address your issues, but that can take a bit of guidance. Men do need guidance. But ultimately, it's about learning how to be okay with yourself, so you can be alone and be all right, regardless if you have someone with you or not. Because people bring problems into your lives. These men are a bunch of weakies. They're a bunch of betas that are, they're afraid of being alone, and they're looking for others to give them a hug and comfort them. The world doesn't work like that. The world is not a comforting place for men. The world is a horrible, evil, egotistical place that wants to destroy you. All right, society wants to destroy you. The agents of the state want to destroy you. Women and simps operate as agents of the state. So there so you exactly know who you're dealing with. It's a cruel world out there, man. And you have to basically be up to task to go to war. And these men are not fit. They are not fit for service. They are not fit for life, bro. They're not even fit for band camp. Okay, they are not fit. They are not fit for drumline. Okay, they are not fit. They are not fit for the school choir, let alone to play dodgeball. These are the guys that would get stuffed into lockers and then basically stay in there because they didn't want to get stuffed in a second time, or have their heads put in, get wedgies or all that other stuff. These are the guys that, got bullied by the nerds and revenge of the nerds. These are the guys that no one wanted to be friends with.
Can't help but agree that male loneliness is an issue we don't talk enough about. But while some of these retreats might help men to feel connected for a weekend, do they address the larger cultural issue of why men feel this way in the first place? I think it's important to ask why this loneliness exists in the first place. Society tells men to suppress their emotions from a young age, and we're discouraged from forming deep emotional bonds with other men. It's no wonder why so many of us end up feeling disconnected. But here's the kicker: retreats like these, They might provide a short-term solution, but what happens when these men go back to their regular lives, where the same pressures to be a man exist?
So thanks. Really appreciate it, dude.
I got even more than I expected. I was really able to go deeper than I could have gone on my own and just release a ton of emotion. I feel closer to some of these people than I do with people that I've known for a decade.
Of course, man. Of course. Like, you know, when you connect with another human being spiritually and physically the way you did with these men, I understand where you're coming from. Not that I've ever done it myself, but you know, I can only imagine. I can only imagine, little bro. I can only imagine. You know, by the way, don't come around me. If you ever meet me, don't come around me, bro. You know, just don't come around me.
You don't have to do it alone.
Of course, the men in the video seem lighter, more connected, and relieved after the retreat. And that's great, but let's be real. One weekend of emotional breakthroughs doesn't solve the deep-rooted issues of how society treats masculinity. In fact, Dr. Warren Farrell, in his book, The Boy Crisis, touches on the cultural suppression of masculinity, starting at a young age. Boys are taught to disconnect from their emotions early on, and it's reinforced throughout their lives. So, do retreats like these address the root causes of this crisis, or are they just treating the symptoms?
Is there anything that little Scott wants to tell you?
He wants to say I'm sorry. I was doing my best, but I just didn't know what to do.
And it's okay.
See, modern women have turned see, that's I call it modern women have turned women. See, they've turned these men into weeping willows. So it's like you can't even you're like I'm supposed to sit here and say, okay, men, no, and I just messed up because they've basically messed up these men. They've messed up these men so much psychologically that these men have forgotten how to keep their shit together. All right, bro. They do no longer these men, and I understand it's hard to be a man. I know what it's like to break down as a man. Guess what? Society doesn't give a fuck. Society doesn't care. Your mother doesn't care. Your father doesn't care. You know, women around you don't care. Nobody gives a fuck. All right, you better pick that shit you better learn how to pick your ass up, little bro, because it's hard out there in those streets. All right, and you could be headed out there at any given moment.
And it's okay.
And you did what you needed.
One guy at the retreat, Scott Wright, mentioned that his inability to connect emotionally cost him his first marriage, and his second is barely holding on. He admitted,
let me make this very clear. His inability to connect emotionally did not cost him his first marriage. All right. Chad and Tyrone cost him his first marriage. His wife was just not that into him. She was into Chad. She was into Tyrone. Women like men who are stoic. Okay. Men who can control themselves and control their emotions. Women do not actually, they basically like to do the whole push and pull thing. And the less you give them, the more you get. In other words, if they can drag you down to their level and force you to break down and to start communicating, that's when they know they have you. Because there's really no reason for that. The truth is that what they really want is for you to stand up to them and ignore them. And basically tell them, listen, leave me alone. All right? I'm not going to tolerate it anymore. Cut it out. That is what they want from you, believe it or not, as a man. And that'll actually make you feel better as a man when you're able to connect with your masculinity. These women are not trying to preserve the marriage. They're trying to destroy the marriage by trying, oh, we want you to be more like women. We want you to open up more. They don't want that from you, all right? Why do you think that they put you down, or they laugh at you, or they say they feel repulsed when they see you breaking down into tears like this? If you broke down into tears like this with your second wife, you think that's going to make your relationship stronger with her? You think that's going to make her more attracted to you? That's a complete and utter lie, all right? You see, what little bro needs is a guy like Uncle Angry to explain female nature to him and explain how women actually think and how women actually operate. All right. And this crap that they're doing there, it's only going to put them in an emotionally weakened state that'll allow others to take advantage of them. It's not good.
this retreat to break old patterns and learn how to connect better. And while that's powerful, it raises another question. Why are we only now realizing the importance of emotional expression? How many marriages, friendships, and lives have been impacted because society told men to hide what they're feeling? So, do men's retreats like every man work? It depends on how you define work. They give men a chance to feel, to connect, and to be vulnerable for maybe the first time in their lives. But if the larger societal message still tells men to tough it out once they leave, we're just spinning our wheels. It's not enough to just have a breakthrough weekend. We need real cultural shifts in how we view masculinity.
A harm to individuals and society. That's how the Surgeon General is describing what he calls an epidemic of loneliness and isolation. It's that isolation and growing feeling of sadness and rage that has been coursing through parts of our society unabated for years now.
What we need is more of this. Places where men can feel safe expressing themselves, not just during a retreat, but in everyday life. So let's talk, guys. Do you think retreats like this really help? Or is there something bigger that we need to address about how men are expected to suppress their emotions? Drop your thoughts in the comments below and let's start a conversation. If you found this video insightful, hit.
You know, guys, it's been an ongoing and long-term problem that men are dealing with. But the key is not to start breaking down in tears. The key is to realize that you're being gaslighted by women in society. Okay? Women are taking advantage of men. They don't want want weak men. They do not want weak men. They want men who are strong. They want men who have their shit together. They want men that don't break down into tears over every little thing. Okay? That's the honest to goodness truth. These women are playing us, y'all. They are 100% playing us. It's a sad reality. It's a sad reality, and it just never ever seems to come to an end. If you don't understand how women think, then you will easily be taken advantage of. You know, I mean, guys, no matter how old these women get, they still want Chad, they still want Tyrone. Their heart never stops beating for Chad and Tyrone. They will always want these men because these are the men that they love. These are the men that they actually desire.
Are you there?
At your service, sir.
Enter the manosphere.
Of course. How can I assist you today?
Give me some of that dating foolishness.
Will do, sir.
I know some of the people watching my videos will be like, lady, you're old and over the hill. Chad and Tyrone dumped you. Your body count is too high. You're an old dried up prude and you can never get the kind of man you want. So I know that's out there. That train of thought is out there. But if that's true, then I don't want anyone.
She's gonna live in her best illusion. You guys remember the story I told you where I said that this guy went into the sewers and he was interviewing people living in the sewers and he ran into this old woman. You know, she was like in her 50s or 60s, so not crazy old, but you know, she looked beat up. She looked really, really beat up. Like if she was 50, she was in her 50s. That was a hard 50s, bro. That was a hard fucking 50s. And you know, dude was like, you know, why aren't you married? Why don't you have some kids? And she was like, yeah, I'm not going to settle for, you know, I'm not going to settle. I know my worth. And dude literally went off on her. It's like, Susan, you're living in the sewers, all right? With rats and roaches, they're crawling around, and that's feces over there. All right, I know your worth too. And maybe you need to, you know, get a reality check. And she's like, I know my worth. I'm not going to compromise. Because even living in the sewers in complete squalor, she still believed that she deserved the 6'6" guy. At least 6 feet tall, makes a 6 feet tall, 6-pack, and makes above six figures, all right? And she's not going to take anything less than she deserves. Here you have this woman who she damn well knows what people are saying, that, you know, she was out there in the streets with Chad and Tyrone, and now she has a crazy high body count. She's in her 50s, pushing 60, and she still seems to think that she deserves a high-value man. And let me just point something out to you guys. The streets wear you down. You know, that's why you can have a woman like this, like her, that's like in her early to mid 50s, and there are women her age who look absolutely amazing, and then she looks like she's pushing 65 or 70, and that's the streets. It's a combination of it's just, guys, what do you find in the streets? You find Chad, you find Tyrone, you find drugs in the streets, all right? And I guarantee you she's used cocaine. among other illicit substances. And the streets, that type of lifestyle, and the drugs, and this drugs, that stuff will tear you. That stuff will wear your body down.
The video's about.
Welcome to Manosphere Highlights Daily. Now, let me be clear. This is not a diss video. I repeat, this is not a diss video. In fact, I'd like to commend this woman for her transparency. We've already done a few videos on her, and it's interesting to see how her worldview has evolved over the years. In this video, she's honest about some of the expectations she had after divorcing her husband after 25 years of marriage.
Okay, I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a rundown of what it's like to be single and why it's so hard to find people to date. It's not for lack of trying. So I've been wanting to make this video for a while, so I made a list of all the things I've done since I divorced my husband in 2013. So that's been 11 years ago.
But it's not only in these expectations, but also in her list of things she was doing that you can find the exact reasons why men are tired of dating and why it's simply not worth committing to modern women in a traditional fashion. Her story explains why you have to stop thinking in traditional ways in today's society. We're going to highlight a few things. The link to the full video is in the description. Let's talk about it.
And I know what some people think is like, don't you wish you would have stayed with him? No. I left him to be more and to feel more, and I've certainly accomplished that. And I would rather be single than live with someone that is keeping me repressed or not at peace. Like, I just want to be at peace, okay? So I'm definitely glad I left him. So I divorced just so I could be free and not be around someone who was repressing my emotional expression, my love, my sexuality, my personal development. And it wasn't that I hated him, it was that my heart was broken because I was so repressed, and I left him to be more and feel more.
In other words, she was in a great marriage with a good man, but she wanted to be able to have physical relationships with any man she wanted to. She wanted the streets. She was bored, all right? Because I guarantee you, she was already getting the cheeks clapped when she was in the marriage, but it was still not enough for her. She wanted to be free of the old man, and she wanted to be able to spend all of her time with Chad and Tyrone, where she could rotate through one guy after another guy after another guy. In other words, she didn't want to have to go home to that old man every evening. She wanted to be able to have Chad and Tyrone in her bed at night. And that's exactly what she did. But now fast forward, 10 years, and where is she? She basically is alone. And of course, she's still running around. Chad and Tyrone are still running around and coming through, just not at the same frequency as they used to, because they're in high demand. And there's always going to be low value, simps that will happily go and be physically intimate with a woman who is in her 60s or 70s, because that's how a simp is. A simp has no standards. A simp is basically just attached to its carnal desires. It's all about having their bellies full and balls empty, and that's everything for a simp. So this woman is basically riding high on this type of thing and saying, "Oh, I just want my peace," while she's still out there in the streets.
This right here. This is feminism in action. This is the feminine mystique, the problem that has no name. She admits that her husband wasn't a bad person or anything, but she wanted more. She wanted to feel more, to be free. Now pay attention to why the divorce rates skyrocket once society reaches a certain point.
She had come over for dinner at our house, and I told her, I really want to leave my husband, but I'm afraid I can't afford to move out. And she said, just do it, the money will come. And she gave me an example of her other job, which was working for some yoga studio. She taught yoga, and she was in a similar situation where she wanted to move out from where she was and couldn't afford it. And as soon as she moved out, the yoga place offered her a second class to teach, which gave her the money to pay for the higher rent.
You hear this lot of nonsense this woman is spouting. So she's basically saying that you should just trust in the universe and abandon what you know, leave your husband, leave everything that you know, leave your stability, even leave your kids if you want to, and the universe is going to make everything work out for you. Return to the streets, and the streets will take care of you. Holy cow. And this is what women are doing. Women are basically tearing down the lives of other women using lies. And then when they do this, the women who end up losing, getting screwed, instead of turning around and warning younger women not to do these things, they tell younger women to go and do exactly what they did so that they can validate their mistakes. So even though they are now in poverty and destitution, crying themselves to sleep at night and suffering from staggering, crippling depression and anxiety, they want other women, they want younger women to go and engage in this toxic behavior that is going to leave them with extraordinary amounts of despair and in extraordinary states of destitution. That's how, because when men do things, for example, when men fuck up, we tell other men, we tell younger men, do not do what I did. I was a motherfucking idiot. All right. What do women do when they fuck up? They go and tell young women, do exactly what I did. I'm living my best life right now, and you can have it all. You can have it all. All right. These women could be basically on the end of their rope. In other words, like, they might have health issues. They know they only have a few months left. If they had a man in their life, if they had a family, they would, the CANCER may have been caught sooner. May have been able to heal better. They damn well know they would be facing their maker. But with the little time they have left, they want to double down and get other women to go down the terrible path that they went down, so they too can meet Satan very soon.
So I was very inspired by that.
This is where it gets real. A lot of women got married back in the day because marriage was their key to survival. We've discussed this in our Esther Villar series on the manipulated man. Women using men as workhorses to do their bidding. But once society advances to the point where women no longer have to depend on a man for survival, they drop their husbands like hot potatoes. So, to have a traditional relationship, you need traditional circumstances, a traditional climate. Now let's look at what she did after divorcing her husband.
But anyway, I wanted to be free, and I wanted to just have fun. At the time, I was just exploring my sexuality with women. Because my ex-husband was not central with me in bed, and I figured women would be central with me. So I just kind of wanted to explore that. So I was like going out with lesbians and stuff. I was on Match.com, and I thought I'll just do this for a couple years, or maybe I'll do some light dating.
Guys, it leads to the streets. It leads to the streets. By the way, guys, if you're enjoying the content, check out the Angry Guy Clubhouse. It's a great spot for us. We have extended videos, podcasts, guides. We have guides like, that are going to teach you how to build your business, get that business empire going. We've got great articles like Women Are Driving Men to Isolation and Celibacy. We've got something for everyone. Okay, we've got stuff, The Silent Rage of Gen X. That's actually one of our most popular articles. Unbelievable. So we've got videos, podcasts, you can chat with me. We have a chat section, chat area. This is our space. Guys. Angry Guy Clubhouse. And when you sign up for the Angry Guy Clubhouse, don't forget, you're also going to get a free copy of the Digital Nomad Blueprint, so you can learn how to start a new life and begin, getting away from that whole rat race life. And because when everything goes downhill, you're going to need to know how to, live and survive and thrive without that 9 to 5. Guys, the future right now for women in Western society is poverty, destitution, hardship, living in shelters, living in the streets, living in the woods, living in their cars. And it's going to be hard out there because men are walking away, and women were not designed to live without husbands. I see these idiots who are like, Angry, you're absolutely wrong on this one. I know women who are single, and they're older, they're single, and they are more than happy. They are more than happy. They are more than happy being single. They're more than happy not having a family, not having children. And sometimes, and some of you are like, Angry, you're just talking crap. No one is going to say that. Oh yeah, really? Because if you screw with me, I'll show it to you. All right, don't mess with me. I'll show it to you. All right. You want me to show it to you? I'm going to show it to you. There you go. There it is. Woman passes away alone in her cubicle and no one notices her 4 days. That's a video that I dropped a little while ago. And Philip Foy responds, you say all the time, AG, women are not designed to be without a husband. I respectfully disagree. I know of women in my life who are happily single and functional without a man. This is coming from a simp, everyone. This is coming from a simp. And you know what's very interesting about this simp? He said, you say all the time, AG. This means that this guy's been watching lots of my videos. Okay? Little bro isn't watching a lot of my videos. You have a lot of men who don't know anything about life. That's why they're on the Angry Guy channel. That's why they're coming to Uncle Angry. All right? Because they don't want to accept. They're not ready for it yet. So he's like, oh, you know, these women are living their best life. They're happily single and they're functional without a man. You don't know. You don't. That's the thing about men. Women can deceive men into believing one thing. The women deceive men, they deceive other women into believing that they're living these happy and extravagant lives in their 50s, 60s, 70s, and even 80s, when in reality they're absolutely miserable. They're at home crying that they want a man, but they're never going to show it. They're only going to double down and tell men that, hey, they're happy without them, so they're trying to shame men. And then at the same time, they're trying to gaslight women into believing that they can live these lives and there are not going to be any consequences. Women were not designed to live without a husband. Look at what the fall of the Roman Empire. All right, the fall of the Roman Empire was absolutely no joke. That was a living hell. All right, when the Roman Empire fell, women basically lost everything. We actually have an article that we just dropped for you guys over on the Angry Guy Clubhouse. Over on the Clubhouse. And it delves into this actually quite a bit, and it's women's rights crumbled after the Roman Empire collapsed. You can actually find, like I said, you can find a link in the description of the video to go and check that out. But we can read a little bit of it. When we think about the fall of the Roman Empire, we often picture crumbling buildings, barbarian invasions, and a general descent into chaos. But what about the women? Oh, the women. They went from enjoying a relatively cushy life to facing some pretty grim times. Let's dive into the historical roller coaster and see how women's rights took a nosedive after the Roman Empire fell. Okay, guys? Prior to the Roman Empire falling, the Emperor of Rome said that called single men worse than all of the criminals in the Roman Empire, because men basically refused to provide in the empire. They refused to subsidize the living of women, and women basically drained the empire clean. And eventually, the empire had no military anymore. It had no budget. It had nothing. And it was using slave labor to keep itself afloat. And then the barbarians realized the emperor had no clothes, pillaged the empire, and we were plunged into 1,000 years of darkness and then ruled over by the church, okay, who still had technology. The church had reading, writing, math, arithmetic, all of it. They had chemistry. They had technology. The church had advanced technology. How can we prove this? Look at all of the structures that they erected during the Dark Ages. They erected some unbelievable structures, some structures that surpassed even the things that we saw during the Roman Empire. Where did that technology come from? Very simple. They had their own engineers. The church had engineers. The church had doctors. The church had scientists. They kept all of these people to themselves. They cultivated knowledge amongst themselves for 1,000 years, while they kept hundreds of millions of people, if not 1 billion people, in states of ignorance for 1,000 years, using fear to rule over them. That is the fall of the Roman Empire, and women went from living very privileged lives and holding high positions of power in the Roman Empire to becoming serfs, that had to work alongside men in the fields, but had literally no autonomy whatsoever. I mean, that is the reality of it. Women. The Roman Empire is a perfect example of what ends up happening when men walk away. In Western society, men pay 80% of all the taxes, while women make 80% of all consumer purchases. The women are not, the state cannot afford to continue subsidizing women exclusively, and they never have been. You know, women live off the simp economy right now. As the simp economy is beginning to dry up and move overseas, the state is going to begin cracking down on men more and more, but there's nothing they can really do, because the more you punish men and try to gaslight men and brainwash men, the more men will run away. It's like telling a man to go out to a field and work hard in the field, and think of it as a reward. So keep on doing it until he expires, and you know his reward will basically be waiting for him in the next one. This is the gaslighting that men are receiving right now from society and from women. But when men walk away, it's really over, because men basically hold up society. Men are the gatekeepers of society and the gatekeepers of prosperity. You know, men are the gatekeepers of the relationship. A woman without a man is basically a fish out of water. You know, women used to say a woman needs a man like a fish needs a bicycle. And you know, and then what did the MGTOW start saying? They started saying a man needs a woman like a fish needs a hook. Okay, so it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Women are not designed to live without men. Women are not designed to live outside of communities, okay, and outside of families. These women no longer have the family unit to protect them. And idiots like this joker that said this are angry. You're wrong about this. Women, I know a lot of women who are happily single, and they're doing extremely well single. You only know what you see. This guy's out of his mind. Okay, people go through health issues. People go through, guys. If there's one thing that men can do, it's suffer. I'm not saying that we should suffer, that our lives should be an entire state of suffering, but men are designed for suffering, not only to suffer, but to thrive regardless of suffering, and to overcome said suffering. You know, and to thrive regardless of suffering. Women are not the same. When women are faced with suffering, they typically end up just caving and fall into states of destitution. Okay, men are basically built like Saiyans. We have to survive. We have to succeed, because if we do not succeed, we will not survive. We will not have someone to come and rescue us from states of destitution and poverty. In fact, if we break down like the guys earlier in this video that were crying out in the bush, you know, so that's the beginning of the end for you right there. That's the beginning of the end. But what do you guys think regarding all of this? Women are reminding men not to fall in love. Let me know your thoughts, and we'll talk about it in the comments. Like the video if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe, and if you like the video, share the video. And just remember that all roads lead to MWA, men walking away, and share.